A warm welcome to Anuradha Vedic Astrology. Today we are going to talk about divisional charts. Are they really important? How do they impact us? And can we really get a very clear picture without referring to them? So we will cover all this with examples in this video. But before that, a big thanks to all of you for liking, sharing and subscribing to our YouTube and Spotify channels and writing in your comments and suggestions there. If you haven't written to us or subscribed us, please do, and do remember to press the bell icon so that you can get the updates ASAP. What are divisional charts? The entire natal chart is, depending upon the kind of divisional chart that this has to be made, there is an entire section in BPHS which talks about these divisional chart, and they are 16 in number. So it is also called in BPHS and many other places the Shodash Varga, the 16 Varga charts. Varg means division. And what division does it mean, imply? It implies that the Kundali is divided, or each of the sign, each of the Rashi is divided in a particular manner to give rise to different divisions. For example, the D9 is a division which talks about marriage, which talks about crucial issues of trying to ascertain how the planet would be functioning. It talks also about your spiritual quotient, etc. When we talk about the D10, it is all about the job that one can do and so many other things, the profession one takes up, or whether it is going to be a job or it is going to be a self-employment that one will be working with. When we look into the D7, it is the chart of children. Again, all these charts are divided are so formed in a manner that they are very different from each other, and the placement of planets will vary according to the rules of making these charts per se. The rules are very clearly, explicitly stated in BPHS and other classical texts. So we are not going into the rules, we are going to see why they are important. Now, why are the divisional charts important? When I talk about the 5th house in general of the natal chart, the 5th house gives me so many things. The 5th house talks about my children, my grandparents, it talks about my intelligence, it also talks about the kind of students I may have and the large monies that I make, in addition to talking about my children. So what is it that will help me decide very practically that yes, my children for sure I will have these kind of results, or for with my grandparents I will have these kind of results. So when we talk about the grandparents, we move on to a chart called the D12, Dwadashamsh, which talks about our generations, our ancestors, starting from our parents, going to each ancestors ahead. When I talk about my children, I need to look into my D7 chart. D7 is the key to understanding what my relationship with my children will be, whether I will be able to have children or not, because nowadays it's a major concern as to if I will be able to have children or not. The proof of the pudding, that is, the divisional charts can differ for twins also. Two sisters born from the same mother from the same date, just 10 minutes apart, their lives can be very different, be it in terms of D9 or be it in terms of the D7, because the divisional charts in particular change at very fast rate. The D2 will take definitely an hour to change, within an hour, but it could also change within a matter of 5 minutes depending on the lagna. I have known two brothers and sisters born 2 hours apart, just 2 hours apart, and the entire life scheme, the places they have grown up, everything has changed. 10 minutes apart, two sisters, yes, a lot of things have changed, and we will see this, and that is how we will be able to ascertain whether the divisional charts are really working for us and how important they are. So, when I am looking into the D1 of an example here that I see, I will tell you that I am taking the chart of two sisters, okay, and they are both born with a difference of just 10 minutes apart. When I look into the Rasi chart, which is same for both of them, and we are talking about the D7. So, when we look into the D7, the 5th house becomes important of the natal chart. So, when we look into the 5th house of the natal chart and the influence on the 5th house, the lord of the 5th house and the karak of the 5th house children, then we look in this chart as the lagna comes from, for both of them, the lagna comes from the Taurus lagna. In 10 minutes, the lagna shifts. As a result, we will see a change in the D7 also. But for now, we take it as a Taurus lagna, and we see that in the 5th house, there is placed Rahu. Malefics in the 5th house, and especially we have got a dictum which says that Rahu in the 5th house does not promote children, and we have taken that example of Narendra Modi, we have taken the example of Rahul Gandhi, lot of people. It can give you name and fame, and it can give you a lot of intelligence, but definitely not children. So, first there is a cross here, then we go on to the other aspects. You see that the lord of the 5th house is Mercury, it is debilitated, and again it is in the Rahu-Ketu axis. So, there is another cross when we talk about the house, the lord of the house and the karaka. The karaka being Jupiter is free of any affliction and is good to go. So, there is a chance that a person can have children because the karaka at least is safe, the person can have that, okay. But when we go to the person's D7 to confirm whether she will have a child or not, if you look into her D7, the first lady, the first child who is born, the elder one of the twins, her D7 comes from the Aquarius lagna, where the 5th house now again belongs to the sign of Mercury, and in the 5th house, that is in the sign of Gemini, we see Rahu and Jupiter placed. So, and we see that they are aspecting Mercury also, which is sitting on the lagna. As a result, what happens? We see that the 5th house is now totally gone. Why so? Because the 5th house has Rahu, the karak of children is under the Rahu-Ketu influence, and the 5th lord is also under the Rahu influence, though it is aspected by Jupiter, but Jupiter itself is on the Rahu-Ketu axis and afflicted. What more, the lagna lord is also, the lagna lord as I see it is also under the influence of the D7 by Mars from the 8th house, and that is not a good thing. Though it is looking at the lagna, Saturn, but it is not good because the lagna lord is itself afflicted by Mars's 8th or Swahanta Yog Drishti. So, all in all, it says that the chances are very remote, and she has not had any child. Now, let us look into the younger sisters of the twin, her chart, D7 chart. When you take her D7 chart, you will see that the lagna has shifted. Of the D7, the lagna has shifted, and so it has come to Pisces. The 5th lord then becomes moon. The moon is sitting in the 11th house of Ichha Purti or wish fulfillment. It is sitting with a very strong malefic, that is an exalted Mars, and it is also sitting with a very strong benefic, which is Venus. So, the child is there. Again we know that the 5th house has the aspect, the Jupiter, again the karak of children, is not in a good place because again it is with Rahu, and it is in the 4th house from the 5th house, which is not a good place. But nevertheless, a child is somewhat promised because moon is aspecting, and it's in the 11th house. The 5th lord is in the 11th house. You will have a child. She did have a first child, but she lost that first child after 13 years because he was a special child. Again, she had a second abortion. It was a third child that survived. So we'll go directly to the 9th house to see the third child, because the second child is seen from the 7th house and the third child is seen from the 9th house. The 9th lord is exalted in the 11th house. Promise of child is there. The 9th lord has no other aspect, but it is sitting with two benefics. The 9th house also does not have any bad aspect. So as child was promised to her, the first did not survive, the second did not survive, the third did because of the chart. In the first case of a elder sister, the 5th house was so badly gone in the D1 and the D7 that there was no promise of child. When you look into the divisional charts in detail, you will be able to gather as much information about whether a person will be able to conceive, or the person will not be able to conceive, will not be able to have a child. Please make sure to look into details of the divisional chart before making any prediction about any relationships, especially because the predictions or the correctness of the predictions are very much dependent on the divisional charts. Do write in to us, do let us know how you found this video, and till we meet with you again, stay safe.
Please hit the bell icon for fresh updates. Don't forget to like, share and comment on the videos, and please subscribe to our channel.